Live! I don't have my full throat here. I've had a tiny bit of a cold. My son's been sick, and now it's starting to kick my butt a little bit, trying to make it through the week, baby. But I still got plenty of energy. My eyes healing up, see? Not as devilish as it's looked in the past. Welcome, one and all, to the latest live edition of the Bullpen with Adam the Bull, brought to you by BetRivers. Coming up later, we'll talk about the Red Hot Guardians, but in just a moment, we'll start with the breaking news of the day. That's J.B. Bickerstaff has been fired by the Cleveland Cavaliers after his fourth season, after initially taking over 4 seasons ago from Jim Beeline, if you can imagine that. It's hard to believe that was the case, but and did the Cavs do the right thing? We'll get to that and plenty more. But first, I want to talk to you about the BetRivers app. If you're not using it to bet your parlays or point spreads or whatever, I mean, there's so many different options that you can kind of do whatever you want, right? It's a great app. It's very easy to use. And we've got some cool deals for you, including, mentioned the parlays, the BetRivers oh-so-close parlay insurance going on still during the NBA playoffs. Place a parlay of 4 or more legs on an NBA playoff game each day. You get part of your stake back in bonus bets if you're exactly 1 leg short of hitting said parlay. So, for example, Game 2 of the NBA Eastern Conference playoff game, which is tonight at 8 p.m., the Celtics are, let's say you want to bet the Celtics minus the points, the under on the over-under, Tyrese Halliburton to hit a certain amount of shots, Jaylen Brown to score a certain, whatever you want to do. Let's say you bet do a 5-leg parlay at BetRivers. Well, there's some protection there if you're 1 leg short. The insurance is valid on your first NBA parlay of the day. See the BetRivers app for more details and to see how much stake back you are eligible for. Well, J.B. Bickerstaff, we've talked about it going back a year. A lot of people wanted J.B. Bickerstaff fired a year ago, and now it has finally happened after the Cavs 8 days ago lost in Game 5 of the Eastern Conference semifinals to the Celtics to get eliminated in the second round. J.B. Bickerstaff has lost his job. Behind the scenes, we're hearing things about it was ultimately the team felt like, if you read and you listen to what Jason Lloyd said today, it did appear that there was some mixed feelings, that maybe even Kobe Altman didn't want to fire him, but ultimately he felt like he had to. I said a few minutes ago that it was J.B. Bickerstaff's 4th year. It's actually technically his 5th. I was thinking he took over a year after I said, but he took over right at the end, but he had 4 full seasons as head coach of the Cavaliers. The Cavaliers, as a team, took a step forward every year in terms of, wins per season, 22, 44, 51, 48. Now, they didn't win as many games in the regular season, but obviously last year they lose in 5 in the first round of the playoffs. This year they win in the second round, or they win in the first round and lose in 5 in the second round. So they accomplished more as a team this year than they have, just getting to the conference semis. It's the first time they've done that since the 92-93 season without LeBron, of course. And it's funny because I was one of the people that have been screaming for weeks to fire JB, get rid of him, move on. And today I've been more I haven't been so sure that I'm right. And usually, you know me, people complain that you're a bull, you're so arrogant, you always think you're right, as if people don't always think. Don't you always think you're right when you say something or have an opinion? But anyway, I'm usually so locked into my opinions. But Now, I think in the end, the Cavs did the right thing here. The Cavs had to move on because the players did not believe in JB Bickerstaff. That seems very obvious from multiple people that I've spoken to that know these things. That doesn't mean you can't argue that JB was given a raw deal. Ultimately, the Cavs, when he took over, they were an absolute disaster, and they slightly improved. His first full season, they were a little better. Obviously, his second full season, before they got Donovan Mitchell, they were a surprise 44-win team and got to the play-in round. They did lose there. Last year, they made it to the playoffs, disappointed in the playoffs after a 51-win season. And this year, the season ended, I think, where most of us, and certainly I, assumed it would end. Now, I actually, at the end of the season, picked the Magic to win the series, and I was wrong about that, obviously. So they even did better than I thought they would. Now, going into the, in the middle of the season, I thought the Cavs would definitely get to the second round. But, even when the Cavs were playing their best basketball, I think if you're being honest with yourself, you don't, most of us didn't think they would beat the Celtics in the playoffs. And in this case, they had to try to do it without Jared Allen and without Donovan Mitchell, most importantly, for those last few games, and last game without Karis LeVert. So I don't know that the Cavs could have really gone any further. Now, maybe with a better coach they would have. But the interesting thing is, I don't know if there's a clear, better option. And again, I've been steadfast that JB's got to go, to the point of where I've probably gone over the top on it. But now I'm like, well, I don't think JB's a great coach. And obviously, you want to have a great coach to be able to take you all the way. I don't know if the Cavs are a good enough team to go all the way. And there's no clear great coach out there. And so did the Cavs do the right thing? I guess time will tell. But ultimately, as I started the segment off with, the Cavs are not going to admit this, of course, but ultimately they did what they felt like they had to do, because it appeared by all accounts that JB had lost the locker room. And he may be a nice guy. He may be a good coach, or at least a decent coach. But you lose the locker room, and it's sayonara. You just can't come back from that. And they're hoping to lock up Donovan Mitchell to a long-term deal here and convince him to stay. And if you're doing that, now you got to find a coach that's going to coach Donovan Mitchell hard. You can't hire a coach that's just going to kiss his butt. But if he doesn't believe in the current coach, then I think the way to go is to find someone he will believe in. Now, will they get it right? I don't know. It depends who's making the decision. I have some questions about Kobe Altman, and Dan Gilbert has often made terrible hires. The David Blatt hire was terrible. The Beeline hire was terrible. I mean, some of these things have been just so far off the radar. Some of the names we're hearing in terms of potential coach, Kenny Atkinson, who did a great job. Well, maybe great's a little strong. Did a good job as the head coach of a Nets team that was supposed to be the worst in the league, and they were very competitive. Chris Quinn is a guy my man Mikey McNuggets brought up. He's longtime assistant on the Miami Heat. He played for the Cavaliers. And he's a guy who's been in that elite system as the lead assistant for the best coach in the league, in Eric Spoelstra, for a while now. James Borrego, who was a longtime assistant in San Antonio behind Popovich. Sam Cassell, obviously. Dave Yeager, who was a consultant with the Cavs last year. And then when Doc Rivers got the job in Milwaukee, he went there to be an assistant. Johnny Dawkins has been mentioned. And so there are some interesting candidates. One candidate that I mentioned already, and who I think would be a great choice, is Becky Hammon. Now, are we going to finally see the first woman head coach in the NBA? My guess is we won't. But are any of the coaches I mentioned more qualified than Becky Hammon? She's been an assistant coach in the NBA as part of the great Spurs teams. She is a two-time defending champion as a coach in the WNBA. She's been the coach of the Las Vegas Aces the last 2 years. They've won the championship 2 years in a row. She was coach of the year in the WNBA. She coached the Spurs Summer League team. She's been a winner and a champion at every level as a coach and a player. She's good age, not too old. And I think she'd be a great choice. I doubt it's going to happen. You know, it doesn't seem that way. And yes, the reality is there would be a challenge of how the player is going to react. To me and to enlightened people, it sounds stupid, but that's just the reality of the world. I can't control everybody else's thoughts and feelings. But I think she'd be a great candidate amongst the other people we just mentioned. It does appear from the rumblings out there that Kenny Atkinson and James Borrego are the top choices. There are not a lot of open coaching jobs, the Lakers and the Wizards. This, I think, is a really good job. It's a great fan base. They've got a talented team. Decisions need to be made this offseason, obviously. Locking up Donovan Mitchell if they can, if he's willing. And obviously the trend for a couple of years just being assumed he was going to be gone, now, it does appear like he's willing to sign an extension here, which is great news. Will that lead to a Darius Garland trade? Will Jarrett Allen be moved at the end of the season? I think these are all big-time questions for the new head coach. I mean, it's not his job to deal with it. It's the GM, and Kobe Altman's not going anywhere. But but I'm laughing because Mikey McNuggets just came in the chat and said, hashtag where's Zach Meisel. That's good, Mike. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do and if they get it right this time. But let's keep in mind, there's no guarantee the guy they hire or the person they hire is going to be better than J.B. Bickerstaff. They have nobody with a track record that's outside of Becky Hammon, in my opinion, that is more proven. And Becky Hammon hasn't done it as a head coach in the NBA. She's obviously had more success in her career than J.B. Bickerstaff, but not in the NBA. So, and I don't think she's going to be the coach anyway, but it's going to be fascinating to see where this goes. Dan Gilbert's always been very involved in these decisions in the past, but we don't know if his usual level of involvement will be there because of all the health things he's gone through in recent years. If you want to jump in with me, ask a question, make a comment about the Cavs firing J.B. Bickerstaff, you can jump in. About 15 minutes ago, I tweeted a link that you can click on as long as you're on Google Chrome. You could click on it, and you can join me on the air. I'll bring you up, and you can, speak your piece. Or you can send a message in the YouTube chat. I'll start getting to those in just a sec. I know some people are asking baseball questions. I will get to the Guardians in a little bit as well. Great Malenko says, with JB gone, do you think that means Mitchell is staying? Yeah, I mean, I just always assumed, because people that were in the know more than me were consistently saying that Donovan Mitchell's gone. But that has changed over the last 6 months to the point now where somebody said, yeah, I think he's almost definitely going to stay. Now, would that have been the case if JB were still here? I don't know. It seemed to be trending in that direction anyway. But the fact that they fired him makes you think even more that that Donovan's going to stay, because if Donovan wanted JB here, JB would still be here. And they know, everybody in the organization, they're going to deny it. They're not going to say anything, but everybody in the organization knows that Donovan was not a believer in JB. Not just Donovan, the whole team. So So yeah, I do think it's a factor. Valerie sends a message. You mentioned Becky Hammon for the Cavs job. I agree she would be the most qualified candidate. I do not agree that it doesn't matter if she's a woman. It's like saying you don't see color. We all see color. Agreed, Valerie. I hate when people say we don't see color. And I didn't say that it doesn't matter that she's a woman. I said it doesn't matter to me that she's a woman. I clearly followed that up by saying not everybody thinks like I do, and there may be some players that care about it. To me, it shouldn't matter when I'm, if I'm rooting for a player, if I'm trying to hire the best person for the job, yes, I might sit down with someone and I'm aware this person's a man, this person's a woman, this person's black, this person's white, whatever. But it shouldn't be a factor in my decision-making process, in my opinion. I mean, that seems pretty obvious. But I'm not naive to think it doesn't matter at all. I was just saying, Valerie, that doesn't matter to me. And I agree. Of course, we see color. There's nothing wrong with that. And being able to talk about these issues when it comes to sex, sexuality, race, religion, being able to have open and honest conversations will just make things better. Pee-wee's burnt pizza. Okay. Give me Hammond or give me death. Seems a little extreme, but fair enough. Chatufu, sorry I'm late. Finished the UCSS for today. Well, welcome back, Chatufu. Pee-wee's burnt pizza. I do wish the Cavs would give Becky a shot. I agree. Denise sends a message. Don't forget Mark Jackson, and why not Becky Hammon? She is clearly one of my top choices. I think the ship has sailed on Mark Jackson. If he were, for whatever reason, he has never gotten another opportunity. Now, maybe he turned him down. I don't know, but he has not really gotten an opportunity since he got fired at Golden State, and it just doesn't seem like he's going to get another opportunity. And finally, before I know some of you sent me other comments about baseball. I'll get to that in a little bit, but Bull, who do you think can fetch a solid package in a trade, Garland or Allen? I think they both can fetch a solid package. Is it good enough to make the team better? That's the important question. They both can who is worth more? I don't know. I think it's pretty close. Garland's obviously the better player. Well, I say that, but Allen was the better player this past year. Garland's a little younger. I think they both have value in the trade market. And that's what this offseason is about. Probably is re-signing Donovan, building around him and Mobley, and turning this cough and cold I have was kind of minor, and it's really starting to get to me now. But this, they've got to be able to turn what they do trading. If they do trade Garland and Allen, that's Kobe Altman's job. He's got to get it right. They've got to be able to trade two notable players and make the team better. Not easy to do. DJ Brobot. Nobody's hiring Hammond. Players ain't going to go for that, no matter how much you think we have advanced in society. Yeah. Well, it's probably true. It's pathetic, but that's probably the real. I don't agree that nobody's going to go for that, but there are enough players that it would be an issue. So I think it stinks, but it is what it is. All right. We'll leave the basketball there for now. I will stay. If you send me more messages, we'll jump back in on that. But I think we've hit that enough. I wanted to do a few minutes on the Guardians, who have the day off today, following another excellent come-from-behind win yesterday. The Guardians have the third best record in all of baseball heading into today's action. They're 16 games over 500. Only the Phillies, who have the best record in baseball, 36-14, and the Yankees, who are much better. I've been crapping on the Yankees for the last few years, and I've been right, but it's looking this way at least at the 1/3 point that I'm going to be wrong about the Yankees this year. Their pitching has been much better than I thought it would be. Yankees at 34-17 have the second best record in the league, and then the Guardians at 33-17. Believe it or not, the Kansas City Royals have the fifth best record, and they have kept pace here with the Guardians. Both teams have won 6 in a row, and the Royals still just a game and a half back of the Guardians, 2 in the loss column. Obviously, we got a long way to go, but as the Twins have dropped off, and certainly the Tigers have completely fallen. They're 9.5 out. But the Royals have been legit. I got a question about that. Nikki V, do you think the Royals are legit? Do you think the Twins will still end up being the biggest threat to the Guards? I don't think the Twins are done, but I do think the Royals are legit. I think they'll hit a stretch where they'll cool off, but I think the Guardians will too. I don't think either team is a 100-win team. And right now, they're both on pace to win 100 games, and I don't think either team will win 100 games. So I think they'll both cool off. I do feel good about the Guardians' chances of winning this division, but I think it will be competitive. I like Kansas City. I mean, they've gotten some really good pitching from some veterans they've brought in over the last couple of years. Their closer, James MacArthur, while nowhere near Class A, is really good. Has done a really nice job in his first full season in the big leagues. And they're led by Bobby Witt offensively, and the young guy in Bobby Witt and the veteran in Salvador Perez, both having fantastic seasons. Great leadership on that team. They've done a great job. I think they're legit. I mean, they've scored 247 runs. That only Philadelphia has scored more. Philadelphia and the Dodgers, sorry. I did not have that. The Royals being tied for third in runs scored. I mean, top 5 teams in runs scored. The Phillies are 1. The Dodgers are 2. Yankees and the Royals are tied for 4th. And then the Guardians and the Brewers are tied for 6th. I did not have the Guardians and Royals or the Brewers in my top 7 run-scoring teams, but right now they are, which is pretty amazing. Phillies, Dodgers, and even the Yankees, who I wasn't high on, sure, because I thought the Yankees pitching wouldn't be good, not their hitting this year. But yeah, I do think the Royals are legit. But I think the Guardians will ultimately beat them out. But I think when it comes down to it, by the end of the year, there will be, at the start of September, I think the Twins and the Royals will be in the mix, but I think the Guardians will ultimately win the division. Marty asks, all right. Oh, there's Marty. I was going to just read his comment on YouTube, but instead I'll bring him up to be the first caller of the day and have a chance to jump in. Hello, Marty.
Hey, Adam. Great to see you.
Buddy.
I really love this interactive setup that you got going on. This is really cool.
I appreciate it. Love doing it every Thursday, and I know you're always tweeting at me about baseball. So
yeah.
So I appreciate you jumping in. I like your background there. What do you got, like movie
I
posters?
got my little man cave. I got all my movie posters. I've got the
Nice.
Terminator franchise. I've got Jurassic Park over here on my other wall. And
well done.
My Ghostbusters proton pack in the back there.
Nice. All right, Marty.
So
go ahead.
Adam, I actually I attended the game yesterday against the Mets, and of course I knew Gabriel Arias was going to be in the lineup.
Right.
And sure enough, Vogt pulled him as soon as he had the first opportunity to get that lefty out of the lineup. But I think he grounded into 2 double plays.
Yep.
I mean, maybe seeing a total of 3 pitches. And his body language is just completely dejected. I mean, this is a guy that's had over 500 major league at-bats at this point. Like, how much more rope are the Guardians going to give this guy before they just ship him back to Columbus or trade him off to somebody for a pile of scraps?
The problem is, in terms of trading him, is his trade value is shot right now.
Yeah.
In terms of shipping him to Columbus, I think that's got to be right around the corner. I mean, he's really, early in the season, he showed a little promise, I thought. Jeez. But he's been a disaster this month. Same as Bo Naylor. Now, I'm willing to be more patient on Bo Naylor because A, I think he's better, and B, he hit like hell at the end, hell in a good way at the end of the last season. Gabriel Arias, in 2 years with this team, has shown nothing offensively. Now, you mentioned the 500 plate appearances. That's not enough to completely write a guy off forever. But I've seen enough right now. It'll be interesting when Stephen Kwan comes back, and maybe it's just another week or two, hopefully, because they need him back, even though I shouldn't say they need him because they've been great without him, but they'll be better with him. But I think that, I was thinking maybe they'd think about sending Naylor down and give more playing time to Fry, but he's playing a lot right now. I think there's a decent chance that it's Arias who goes down when Kwan comes back, and it could happen even sooner. But if he doesn't show now, it could end up there are other options of who it could be, but I'm out of patience. To answer your question long-winded, Marty, I'm out of patience, and I'm done. I think it's time for him to go to the minors.
I mean, to that point too. Like you have Daniel Schneemann down in Columbus, he's just raking. I mean, I look at him as like almost another David Fry. David Fry was like a career minor leaguer until the Guardians kind of uncovered him last year. And, Schneemann, I think, is 26 or 27 years old.
Right.
But, he can play third base. He can play first base a lot like Fry can. I think that, I think Arias has kind of run its course. I know that we have the tendency to kind of give up on prospects, but I mean, you look at like Nolan Jones hasn't done anything this year. You look at Will Benson in Cincinnati, hasn't done anything for them. So it's,
Cal Quantrill's pitched well for Colorado.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, I'm surprised,
but I am surprised by that. And he's actually pitched pretty well at home. But you look at the trade. Like I was looking at who was it that we traded to the Rays for Manzardo? Who was that guy? The name's just slipping me at the moment.
Aaron Savali.
Savali, like started off the season great, and now he's fallen back into his.
He's been terrible, and that trade's looking great. And Marty, I appreciate you making the call, man. Thanks for jumping in. Sorry, I'm coughing so much. Trying to get my thoughts out here. It's just struggling with my throat right now. But the bottom line is, for now at least, I think it's time for Arias to go back down in the minors. They didn't send him last year. I think they should imminently if he cannot turn it around. And I know some people got upset the other day when I talked about possibly sending Bo Naylor down for a reset, but I'm willing to be more patient with him than I am with Arias, because Arias has just shown nothing offensively in 2 years. Again, not to write him off completely forever, but he's really bringing nothing to the table at the moment. Nothing at all. Rapid fire through the other comments. Freddie B. Bull, did you know that you and Tupac were babies in Brooklyn at the same time in June of 71? Tupac was born in Brooklyn June 16th, 71. Look at that. I didn't know that. Tupac born exactly 12 days after me in Brooklyn. So I don't know what hospital he was born in. Maybe we were born at the same hospital. I was born at Maimonides Hospital in, I think it's Williamsburg, Brooklyn. I don't even know. I don't even know if that hospital's still there. I think it is. And he was born 12 days later. Maybe he was born at the same hospital, but I would have been out of the hospital by then. Grant says, Arias is just hard to watch. Agree, Marty. Yeah, Marty had put something in the chat before, and you're right. I mean, and Marty pointed out into the chat before, he didn't say this here, but that the body language is bad for Arias. There's nothing I like about Arias right now. Nothing. I'm ready to move on. Manuel, is there any hope the Guardians get a batter pitcher this season? I'm going to try to remain hopeful. Owners, the front office and the players have earned this. Hopefully, ownership, which at times in the past, I've been very critical of ownership in recent years, but especially recent months, deservedly so. But in the past, when the team was really good, 16, 17, those years, they were aggressive at the trade deadline. I'm hoping they will be again because, yes, as well as this team is playing, they need additions. There's no doubt about it. Let's see. Ben sends a message. Bull, you said about a week ago before the Rangers series that you would have been okay with the team going 3-3. Since that comment, they are 9-1. You don't know ball. All right, Ben. Hey, I didn't say they were going to go 3-3. I said I would have been happy with it. Well, I was worried with Kwan's injury, and at the time, the starting pitching hadn't been as good, but they have more than made up for those things, and the starting pitching has been much better. Nicky V. Manzardo has looked much more comfortable at the plate the last few games. Yes, he has. I still like to see him play every day, or almost every day. Denise, how long will Carlos Carrasco be on the injured list? Hard to tell. It's a back issue. It's not an elbow or a shoulder or anything like that. I mean, he could be just gone 2 weeks and back. Rahul, my man from India. Hey, Bull, loving and learning baseball at the same time. Go Guards. Make sure to support India in the World Cup. They would be hitting plenty of sixes. That's home runs in cricket. All right, I like that. Sixes instead of home runs. All right, thanks to everybody for joining me today. I'll stop coughing in your ear. Thanks for Max and Monzo for producing. Thanks to all of you for watching. Please give me the thumbs up if you can. Hit the subscribe button. Make sure you check out the BetRivers app. I'm telling you, there's some unbelievable deals there, including you can make the first basket bet and get on tonight's game or any game and pick up an extra bonus with the first bucket bet and get. Place a wager on who will make the first basket of any NBA playoff game. When you do, BetRivers will give you a profit boost to use on another bet. See the BetRivers app for full details on the first bucket bet and get. All right, folks. I'll talk to you next time, next podcast on Monday. Until then, we'll talk to you. Love you all. I'll see you later. Live. I was live, and now I'm about to be not live anymore. In the bullpen with Adam the Bull, brought to you by BetRivers. See you, everybody.